All right, man, peace. So as many of you brothers who follow boxing or who have followed boxing for a long time know, the Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao bout, their first one, was arguably the most highly anticipated and definitely the most promoted major boxing bout of all time, at least in the modern era. I'm not quite sure what was the most highly anticipated or most promoted fight back in the Greco-Roman time period. But in the modern boxing age, you're talking about Ali Frazier, their first fight. You're talking about maybe the rematch between Tyson and Holyfield, and a few other fights that are up there. Joe Louis against Max Schmeling, so on and so forth. You cats who follow the quote-unquote sweet science, you know most of the top fights and how they were promoted, how highly anticipated they were. Well, the Manny Pacquiao versus Floyd Mayweather match, especially the first one, in my view, was the most highly anticipated and the most promoted fight of all time. And that's one of the main reasons why people think that their first fight was a dud. Boxing can be like chess. If you're not interested in watching chess, then you're probably not going to like to watch Floyd Mayweather, especially the last few years of his career, because he's going to do whatever it takes to win. If it means winning boring, then that's how he's going to win. Floyd is a lot like the New England Patriots or the San Antonio Spurs. If he has to look boring for the sake of winning titles, that's what he's going to do. Well, in the aftermath of Manny Pacquiao defeating Keith Thurman in their highly entertaining welterweight championship bout last Saturday night, the fervor is starting to once again build for a potential Floyd Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao rematch. And I'm on record as stating that I do believe that it's going to happen. Why is that? Because just from a monetary perspective, we know that the dollar always lures Floyd Mayweather back into the ring. But from a ritualistic or a Kabbalistic perspective, a Luciferian perspective, I'm already on record as stating that Floyd Mayweather approached Manny Pacquiao on Filipino night in a Clippers game last year, and he had on the orange hood. And that always is symbolic of illumination and a great undertaking that's going to commence for those in the know. So anyway, the real question from here on is whether or not Floyd Mayweather, after 4 years out of the ring, at least against real boxers, can hop right back in and defeat a Manny Pacquiao who's been active. They're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Yeah, we're going to start in the boxing ring. Everyone came out to Vegas to watch the big fight between Pacquiao and Thurman. My guys Marcellus, TJ, and Reggie had the floor seats. If you look up towards the nosebleeds, you might even see me up there. But anyway, as we all know, Pacquiao went on to win the fight, and now everyone's wondering what's next for him.
Look at Manny. Man, look at that Keith. Get that ponytail. I just get it started.
Look, gotta be honest. Did you want to see Pac and Floyd Part 2?
Hell, yes. The first one, let's be real, whatever you want to believe or not. Pacquiao said he had a shoulder injury. Pacquiao didn't throw them hands, so I could put two and two together and say, interesting.
Well, Marcellus Wiley, here's my problem with that. You claim to be a Floyd Mayweather fan. If you're truly a viewer of Floyd Mayweather's fights, you'll know that what he does is take away fighters' offense. So it's customary for fighters to have their lowest punch output against him. Not even speaking about the rate of connection, which is the lowest of any fighter in the CompuBox era. And you have certain analysts or statisticians who have gone back into the history of boxing and evaluated many of the fights of the all-time greats, Joe Louis and Jack Dempsey and Ray Robinson. And they've determined that not only does Floyd Mayweather have the most proficient offense of all time, but also the most effective defense. So for me to believe that the reason why Manny Pacquiao threw the least that he's ever thrown and connected the least that he's ever connected in any fight against Floyd Mayweather is because of his shoulder, that's not what precedent has told us. Precedent has told us that Floyd Mayweather is a defensive mastermind, a boxing genius, and he's going to make you look far lesser than you actually are.
There's enough intrigue in that storyline alone to want to see them go at it again. We all got low standards, let's be real.
It depends. Your standards get lower depending on the entertainment value. Can the entertainment value offset your low standards?
Bucks to watch Floyd fight Conor McGregor. Once I did that, I was open to anything Floyd does. I'm a Floyd fan. I love Floyd Mayweather, so I want to see him go out there and settle this score for real.
I want to see Floyd fight some real boxers, like the last.
I don't. The brother's retired. Why is it so difficult for people to grasp that Floyd Mayweather's retired? Maybe because he's never lost, so he has this immaculate unbeaten aura around him. Like, people really cannot conceive of someone leaving when they've never lost. So I think it's almost like a relationship where where someone gets dumped and they try to get back with the person just so that they can dump that person and not feel like they were left hanging. They're looking for some type of closure or finality. That's what I sense with many of these casual boxing fans. They want some finality, some closure with Floyd. They never got what they wanted, which is to see him on his back looking up at someone. Hopefully the referee as he's counting to 10. If I were Floyd's advisor, I would tell him to not come back. But I think that it's already pretty much in the cards that he's going to come back, especially if Manny Pacquiao is able to pull off another miracle. But we'll see. I think that the potential rematch between Floyd and Pacquiao is down the road. But once again, we'll find out.
Like he fought some dude out, I don't know where they was, Japan, Asia, somewhere.
Oh, they ain't count. Yeah, that ain't count.
That ain't count, right? I want to see Floyd fight Canelo. How about that?
No, don't do that.
Why would Floyd fight Canelo? He fought that dude, 6 years ago? He gave him a boxing lesson. He beat Canelo so bad and outboxed him so bad that people were coming up with an excuse that, quote-unquote, Canelo was young back then. If you watch Canelo box from back in 2011, 2012, he boxed the same way back then that he does now. He just got totally outclassed by a far superior fighter, and Floyd was and still is one of Canelo's heroes. You cannot beat Floyd trying to fight like Floyd.
No, fight him again. He caught Canelo while he was young. Right? I don't want to see.
You can see Reggie. You can see Reggie's a casual fan.
Pacquiao and Floyd fight each other. They both own, and both it's gonna be a boring fight.
TJ does not want to see that fight. I don't know, because Floyd hadn't fought in a while. I don't want. Pacquiao has been active, and my shoulder was hurt. You weren't throwing punches because you know Floyd was gonna time you.
Thank you, sir. TJ Hushmanzada, I'm going to ignore that dumbass shit you were saying about fight Manny Pacquiao in a street fight. You clearly know your boxing.
And you didn't want that. It will be the same thing. If he loses, he'll make another excuse. But Floyd.
Agreed. I like Manny, okay? I like Manny. But Manny's one of those guys on a basketball court. He has to win or he's going to take his ball and go home. Every time Manny loses, he has an excuse.
The ring way too long.
Well, hold on though. Why are you so confident though? If Floyd's been out of the ring, Keith Thurman out of the ring a couple years, and he's in his 30s, right. and Pacquiao caught him slipping. Why? Again, I didn't like the first fight. It was too boring.
Here's my issue with people calling what Floyd Mayweather does in the boxing ring boring. I hope that you also have that approach when you watch an NFL game or a baseball game or a basketball game. Because when you watch an NFL playoff game or an NBA championship series or a baseball World Series, the manager or the coach is going to do whatever they have to do to win the game. When you watch the Patriots, sometimes Belichick will have Brady throw the football 40 to 45 times. Sometimes he'll give the ball to Sony Michel 25 to 30 times. You're going to do what it takes to win. If you're a football aficionado, you understand that. In basketball, what a great coach like a Greg Popovich or Steve Kerr or someone of that ilk will do is they'll direct their team to pick up the pace or slow it down depending on what the other team brings to the table. If you don't have the same personnel that another basketball team has, you try to slow the pace down to limit the other team's possessions. Everyone understands machinations or tactics in other sports except for boxing, in which, for some strange reason, people think that every fight is supposed to be like Rocky IV. And that's a big problem. Those movies have programmed people to believe that fights are supposed to all be knockdown, drag-out wars. And that's not mentally healthy, that's not physically healthy in the long run. Every once in a while, you're going to have a brawl. And Floyd Mayweather has had many exciting fights in his past. You just have to know what fights to look for. Floyd Mayweather versus Miguel Cotto. Floyd Mayweather in his first fight against Marcos Maidana. There are many Floyd fights where he went to war with his opponent, but you don't want to make a habit of that. And the smartest thing that Floyd did was to fight Manny Pacquiao using the tactics that he used, which is to keep Manny Pacquiao at distance, use your feet to nullify Manny's feet, do not let Manny try to circle around you, always keep him at the end of your jab, and when he steps in, you counter him with a hard straight right. And he made the fight very easy for himself that way. And that's what you're supposed to do.
Marcellus reminds me of a great point. Pacquiao says he was hurt.
It's going to be more the same.
Thank you, TJ. TJ knows his boxing.
You know what's funny? One, we all went to this fight with one old guy in the ring, right? And then Keith Thurman, who we were like, it's your turn. But it's somebody else's turn always in this Floyd Mayweather. So you guys are sounding like how everyone said about Conor McGregor. I don't want to watch that fight. I don't want to watch that fight. Oh, I'll watch it. And guess what? It set records. I'll watch it.
Oh, most definitely. Especially with how Pacquiao starting to build back up his profile. That's why Floyd is just sitting back, and now they're starting to engage in a little back and forth on social media. That's how you know they're trying to test the waters and see how receptive the boxing fans will be to a potential rematch between Manny Pacquiao and Floyd. It's very similar to how they would promote many of Jack Johnson's fights, trying to build up the quote-unquote Great White Hope.
It was a boring fight, though.
Okay, but we don't know that before this. I didn't think this fight was going to be as exciting as it was.
I knew McGregor fight was going to be boring.
Okay,
There's no way he was going to
What
be
were your
boring.
expectations going into this
You
fight?
didn't know this fight was going to be that.
No, I know it's going to be like that.
Right. So Floyd, Pacquiao, and Pacquiao actually is not hurt and actually throws his hands, and Floyd is forced to go into his bag. You don't think that'd be exciting? Floyd,
It'll be a good fight. You know, as they say, when you put pressure on a coal, you make a diamond. Floyd always states that no fighter has ever been able to make him go to his A game. Someone would have to wonder, with 4 years off and getting into the ring with a Manny Pacquiao, force Floyd to go to his A game. We'll have to find out.
Mayweather, he'll win the fight just because he has great timing. But he's been out of the ring a while. Keith Thurman took this fight because this was his first big payday. Right.
Absolutely. And Keith thought that this was going to signify a changing of the guard. And he even stated this, that he was going to do to Manny what Manny did to Oscar De La Hoya. What Keith did not understand is that the reason why Manny was able to do what he did to Oscar is because Oscar's dumbass basically came from being a full-fledged middleweight down to welterweight. Now, we know he was campaigning in that super welter to middleweight area, but Oscar's he was really a middleweight by that time. And for whatever reason, quote unquote, he decided that he was going to come down to welterweight to fight Manny Pacquiao. I think that there was some under the table dealings there between himself and Bob Arum and Manny's team, but who knows? We'll find out if and when the time is right and that information ever emerges. But it made no sense to me back then, and it still makes no sense to me today, why Oscar De La Hoya would make so many concessions to Manny Pacquiao that he was previously unwilling to make for any fighter. For him to drop down 2 weight classes to compete against a fighter who really had not yet really even made a name for himself at 147. There was certainly something going on there.
But he's been out of the ring a while. Keith Thurman took this fight because this was his first big payday. Right. And he was like, he's 40 years old. Yeah. I'm a parking. Yeah. And that didn't happen.
That's exactly what he thought. That's exactly what Keith thought. Keith said to himself, I'm going to train for this fool for about a month to get in shape, and then another 2 months to get in condition. I'm going to get in the ring, and I'm going to spark his ass in the first round. And if I don't get him in the first round, I'm going to spark his ass by the 5th or the 6th round.
I'm going to tell you the thing y'all missing.
left the car on.
I'm going to say the thing you're missing, TJ, and again, because you're just evaluating it from a fight perspective.
Which is what he's supposed to do.
The reason why I'm for it, and normally I would be against it, I just think the festivities would be so off the charts.
Well, the festivities would be huge, but we would also have to analyze what is the spirit behind the potential festivities of a rematch between Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. Is it, we're going to see a great fight tonight? Or is it, once again, is it going to be very much akin to one of Jack Johnson's fights? Potentially, we might finally see this nigga get his comeuppance.
Again,
and economically great for all involved.
No, just the weekend of Floyd Pac 2 with Pacquiao putting on this kind of performance. The stars are going to come back out again. It's going. Boxing to me is one of the greatest weekends in all of sport.
What happened, Jason? If Floyd fights this year, then he'll for sure fight Pacquiao next year. Because Pacquiao has stated, I'm not fighting again this year. So if Floyd has a fight this year, some type of tune-up, then
Floyd doesn't do tune-ups. It has to be a mega.
Well, here's the issue with that. Marcellus Wiley stating that Floyd Mayweather does not do tune-up fights. Brother, Floyd Mayweather's going to have to do some type of tune-up before he gets into the ring with Manny Pacquiao. He's taken 4 years off. And that's not quite true that Floyd does not do tune-up fights, because the Juan Manuel Marquez fight was a tune-up fight. And a lot of Floyd Mayweather haters, they tried to go back and forth about the Marquez fight. The reason why Floyd fought Marquez in '09 in his first fight back was for two reasons. Number one, it was a tune-up fight. Number two, it was an attempt to establish negotiation supremacy in a potential Pacquiao fight down the road. Floyd was sitting back in 2008 and he was watching what Bob Arum and Manny Pacquiao were doing. They were trying to build their name off of defeating many of his previous opponents. So Floyd said to himself, no problem. I'm going to challenge one of Pacquiao's previous opponents and defeat him better than Manny Pacquiao has defeated my two previous opponents, so that I can balance out the probable negotiations between my team and his team. That's why he decided to fight Marquez, because he was playing chess. And a lot of people do not understand that. Oh, Floyd was picking on a lightweight. He was doing this. He was doing that. Floyd Mayweather knew that he had to find a previous Manny Pacquiao opponent who Pacquiao had either struggled against, or there were allegations that he truly lost against that opponent. And if he can get that guy to come up to 147, and this was a Juan Manuel Marquez who was in the latter portion of his career, but he was still a great fighter. I believe he had just beaten Juan Diaz for the lightweight title a few months earlier, before Floyd Mayweather had challenged him. So he decided to make that jump. And that wasn't the first time that a fighter made the jump from lightweight to welterweight. Roberto Duran did it. Shane Mosley did it. Adrian Broner did it. So if we call Marquez an all-time great, it's not that big a deal that he did it. He just happened to get into the ring with arguably the greatest pure boxer ever, and he got thoroughly outboxed. But there were strategic and logistical reasons why Floyd fought Marquez. But just to get back to the point, that was a tune-up for him after he had been out of the ring for almost 2 years. There's no way that Floyd is going to come back into the ring after 4 years and get in there with Manny Pacquiao. It's not going to happen.
$400 million on the line when he fights Pacquiao, and he doesn't even want you to see what he's going to do.
I've never been in a ring like these boxers do and fight for a living. But when they say timing and rhythm matters,
oh yeah,
Floyd is great, but Pacquiao is great too.
Absolutely. In other words, what TJ is saying, Floyd is not going to take that chance. There's no way that he's going to be out of the ring against top-level competition, real boxers, for 4 years and then jump in the ring with Pacquiao. No way in the world.
We're not in the right emotional space. I swear this is Floyd Conor. I swear this is Pacquiao Floyd. It's 7 years too late. When you don't have Ticketmaster hitting you up saying, you want to go to Floyd Pacquiao too? When that actually is a reality, when Fox is like, yo, we got the fight, y'all want to go floor seats? When that's a reality, that's when the juice kicks in. I'm just privileged to know it right now. I don't need to know what's going to happen. It's going to be.
Well, it's definitely going to be huge. But Manny Pacquiao is going to have to do his part in promoting the fight. And the way that he's going to promote the fight is by defeating Errol Spence potentially, or whoever wins the Spence-Porter matchup. But we all expect it to be Errol Spence. Manny Pacquiao is going to have to do that in order for him to earn the right to fight Floyd Mayweather. And if that happens, everybody's going to want to see that fight. Everybody.
All right.
But anyway, that's basically it on that. We'll see what happens down the road. Peace.